Good evening from all of us at MixTV. I'm Holly Borman. Thanks for joining us. The Mullin Town Hall was held last week. It was well attended and citizens were able to attend, ask questions, and get their concerns addressed. Here is the Channel 19 rebroadcast of the Mullin Town Hall.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. It is an honor to start my day, and pledge allegiance to that flag. It never gets old. Never gets old. It is such an honor. When we're doing town hall meetings, we start every town hall meeting the same, and we always have the privilege to give that flag all the honor that it's due. So thank you for being here. What a great crowd, to see this early in the morning. All ages here, that is great too. This is probably the most diverse crowd we've seen as far as age groups. Some of the students, maybe you guys are required to be here, but I don't care. I appreciate you guys being here. And I do appreciate everybody that did take the time to come out. This is our first one of 5 that is scheduled today. We're literally all over the place. I think this is our 18th one to do. I believe we have 8 more to do, and this is I believe our 18th one to do. So thank you for being here. I like to always start all of our meetings off the exact same. First thing, we want to honor all of our veterans. Would all our veterans please stand that's here? All our veterans. Thank you, guys. I think it's neat how the veterans are always hesitant to stand up because in their mind, they did their job. But what I want to point out is what you saw was 1% of our population that defends 100% of our freedoms. There isn't one of us that could be here if our veterans didn't go do their job and do it well. They gave us the right to be here. They gave us the right to have a political setting that most countries are envious of. They would love to be able to go up and talk openly in politics and agree, sometimes to disagree. To have a conversation about things without threatening of being thrown in jail and go to a political prison. We are privileged to be able to have our veterans that are willing to go do that for us before they even knew us. Second group that I always like to pay attention to is our men and women in law enforcement. We sleep good in our beds at night because these individuals are out there willing to protect us. We're either a nation of laws or we become a lawless nation. I have been to those lawless nations. It's not nice. These individuals, they're willing to lay down their life for you. Literally. They go to trouble. They will walk in front of it. You could get mad at them in the morning, and that evening they would still defend you. They will go to it. They're willing to make sure you go home before they go home. Now, what makes my life or your life any more valuable than theirs? It's not. It's not. My family and their family, I guarantee you, loves them the same. And they weren't forced to do the job that they do. They volunteered for the job that they do. And there is there's been a move the last few years to criticize our law enforcement for every move that they make. Having to make a split decision. All of a sudden it might be pointed out that they have alternative motives for it. Guys, we should be thanking our law enforcement every single day. We should honor our law enforcement the same that we honor our veterans. So guys, would you join me in giving them a round of applause? Now, I'd like to point out things that we have in common, because politics can get very personal, extremely personal. I mean, we can get really upset with each other. We can gripe and we can complain, and when you lose your temper, guess what? Both sides lose. When I used to compete nationally and internationally, either in jiu-jitsu or when I was fighting professional, or even when I was wrestling in high school and in college, I used to think if I could get into that person's head, if I could get them mad at me, I win. Why? Because they quit thinking rationally. They just start making ridiculous mistakes, and it's anger that's pushing them forward rather than being precise and being calm about it. And when we allow politics to get that way, who loses? We all lose. And that's what's been happening going on lately inside politics. We've been seeing it all over the news. Unfortunately, we've been seeing it across our own state, not to mention all across other states. And I think it's because sometimes we lose focus on what we have in common. And so just kind of a simple analogy that I like to use, but it's very true. My wife and I, we've been married, it'll be 20 years this June. We were boyfriend and girlfriend literally in 3rd grade. We have 5 wonderful children, and I love my wife to death. And I love her more today than the day we got married. And I even think she's more beautiful today than the day we got married. When I say that, she takes that the wrong way, and I mean it in a compliment. But that just goes to show sometimes I'm trying to say something that isn't maybe coming out the way that I thought it would be received. And every now and then, believe it or not, after 20 years of marriage, we still occasionally have an argument. I'm sure we're the only married couple that ever happens to. Right, Daryl? Yeah. That's over here laughing. Did you guys have one this morning?
Yeah.
No, yeah. But occasionally, we actually have a disagreement. And when we have a disagreement, I don't take it that personal because I don't think she's personally doing something to me. Because she's probably making a decision that she thinks is best for the family. I may disagree with that decision, but I don't take it personally because I know her heart's in the right place. And sometimes I make a decision, actually not sometimes, quite often, I make a decision that she doesn't agree with. But she doesn't take it so personal that we're willing to blow up our family over. She knows that I'm just making a decision that I thought was best for the family. And occasionally, the arguments get to the point where we have to walk out of the room and then come back together later and we begin to have a civil conversation, and ultimately who wins is our family. What holds our marriage together is our family. And our love for each other and our love for our family. What holds this country together is our love for this country. But we have to remind ourselves that we actually have things in common. We just pointed out too. We respect our law enforcement, we respect our veterans, but what about our love for that flag? Everybody in this room can agree that that's the most beautiful flag in the world. I can't imagine standing up and pledging my allegiance to any other flag but the United States of America. And every one of us stood up and we pledged allegiance to the United States of America. Not one single person said, I pledge allegiance to the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. Did anybody hear that? Anybody? No. So that means the person in front of you, the person behind you, the person beside you loves this country as much as you do. They might just have a different way of showing how they plan to make this country as great as possible than I do. But the outcome is still the same. We're trying to make it great for the generations behind us, to assure that they have as bright a future as that we have. Right? We can all agree on that. Another analogy I like to show is when someone comes after this country, that's when this country bonds together the most. It's like my brothers and I. I'm the youngest of 7. And I'm sure we're the only siblings that ever fought. Right? You guys, younger people have siblings? No? Yes, you guys argue with your siblings. I know you do. My siblings argue too. In fact, my boys, when they get in an argument, their rule is take it outside, finish it, and then come back in and tell me what happened. Actually, I know that's not good parenting, but it's true. But here's the thing on this one, is my brothers and I, we can argue. We might even get physical every now and then growing up. But that's my brother. And if someone else attacks my brother, my brothers turn on that person, because that's family. And I'll defend my family. And we'll defend this country too. So we don't have to question someone's motives about this country because they love the country. They just have different ideas about it. And our veterans gave us the opportunity to have those opinions.
Something looks different out on the horizon. It looks sharper, bolder, tougher, more professional. Look out for the redesigned CTHD.
Visit Simon's Home Center, your local Gravely dealer in Vian.
At Sallisaw Lumber, we are more than just a lumber yard. We are your full-service lumber company, hardware store, and appliance and flooring center all in one. If you don't find what you need, we'll order it for you. Our guys are standing at the counter ready to wait on you. And if you can't take it with you, we can deliver it to you for only $10. At Sallisaw Lumber, we've not forgot about good customer service. Sallisaw Lumber saves you time, saves you money.
Do you know all the benefits of being a AAA member, like the discounts on insurance for home and auto, great rates on life insurance, or the emergency roadside service that pays for your membership if you only use it once? And AAA can save you up to $600 per year on insurance if your teen completes AAA's Parent-Taught Driver's Education Program. If you like to be treated like a person and not just a number, then see Misty Bailey, your local AAA insurance agent.
No job, no money, no problem. Call Zoom Bail Bonds with terms that can't be beat. If we can't get you out, no one else can. When you're in the clink and need someone quick as a wink, call Zoom Bail Bonds. With over 100 years of experience, Zoom Bail Bonds licensed agents and professional support staff are here to help you in your time of need. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Just call Zoom Bail Bonds for the best deal in town. If we can't get you out, no one else can.
Questions today. I want everybody to remember sometimes we have to agree to just simply disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. And we owe everybody respect. And we want to handle ourselves in a respectful manner, no matter who you are or what side you're on. And so when I call on you to come ask a question, I'm going to ask you to come up to the mic so everybody can hear you. And when you ask your question, I'm going to give you enough respect to ask your question. If you get long-winded on your opinion, no matter who you are, I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, please just get to your question, because we want to get to everybody. And then when you get done asking your question, I'm going to ask you to have a seat, and then I'm going to answer. You may not like my answer, but I gave you enough respect to ask the question, give me enough respect to answer it. And if we got to agree to disagree, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see any of this in here, but just to make another point here, if you have any signs, I don't care if they're a red sign or a green sign. I don't care if it says you're fired, jump off a cliff, whatever, Markwayne, we love you. I don't care what it is. By the way, I've never seen that sign. I've seen a lot of signs, not that one. But no matter what the sign is, don't hold it up, don't wave it, it's distracting. And it's disruptive. And you're distracting the people in front of you or behind you, and so we're treating everybody the same. No matter what it is, we're going to ask you, please, if you do have a sign, just put it down. I don't see anybody with signs, but I'm just making a point because we like to always start all of our meetings the same. Because what happens when that starts happening, you start waving the signs, because we've seen it in our own town hall meetings, we've seen it across the country, is it gets people upset around you. And I might be able to control what I say and what I do, but the people behind you starts interacting, it becomes a problem inside our town hall meetings. And then the people that came here to listen doesn't ever get the opportunity to do that, because it ends up becoming an issue within the crowd. And so we try to treat everybody the same so we can make sure that everybody has an opportunity. Everybody okay with that? Everybody good with that? All right. So let's go to the questions. I'll call on you. If for some reason I have a tendency to look here, so if you're over here and I don't see you, stand up and wave your hands or something, because I'm not purposely missing you or overlooking you. And here someone has your hands up and I keep looking over you, hold it up higher, because my wife says I get tunnel vision sometimes. I don't tell it, I just tell I'm very focused. But see, there's one of those disagreements that we have sometimes. All right, anyways, what kind of questions you have? Hold up your hand, Ruth. I saw your hand first. And kids, or students, not kids, you guys are way beyond kids. Students, if you guys have a question, please ask. There's nothing that is off limits to you guys. I encourage you all to get involved. And so if you guys have any type of question whatsoever, please ask. Go ahead, Ruth. Let me go over this for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Ruth Bennett. I'm from Muldrow, Oklahoma, or I live near Muldrow, and I'm glad that you brought up the veterans because my father was a World War II veteran. He fought in the European theater, and he got a Bronze Star. And
You know what group he was with? Was he with the Army?
he was with the 9th Army.
9th Army.
Yeah, under General Simpson.
Wow.
And
Is he still with us?
no, he passed a long time ago, but very proud. And I'm also DAR eligible, although I haven't done it yet because I've been pretty busy.
Right.
I've been a healthcare professional for almost 45 years. My husband's been a diesel mechanic who worked himself up to management in the trucking business. My question is, Donald Trump campaigned on the promise to protect Social Security and Medicare. However, as of yesterday, I read that he is contemplating a proposal to eliminate the Social Security payroll tax, which funds Social Security and part of the Medicare, or cutting it drastically. It appears to be a gift in the form of middle-class tax relief, but would, if enacted, lead to the destruction of working American fundamental economic security. There's two bills that are being proposed right now, I believe. One is the 2100 Social Security 2100 Act by Representative Larson from Connecticut, and the other one is the Representative Fazio and Senator Sanders Act, which is the Social Security Expansion Act. It calls for the strengthening of the Social Security by raising the cap on wages over $127,000.
Just get to your question on that one.
Okay, I was wondering if you were going to support those bills.
Ruth, I don't know anything about them. I don't think Social Security or Medicare is any form of entitlement. I think it's something that we earned because we've been paying into them.
Okay.
I don't even like the word entitlement when people use that. I don't know anything about what you read yesterday because I haven't seen that proposal. In fact, everything that's come out of the administration is that he's going to do his best to keep Social Security and Medicare sovereign for those people that paid into it and make sure in fact, what he said is his priority is to make sure that's solvent for this generation and future generations. So I don't know what you read or where that came from.
That was from the LA Times.
Yeah, and so I don't know anything about it. Sometimes, no matter what the source is, it can be our local newspaper to the LA Times, that sometimes they don't always have all the information in there we need. I don't have it.
Okay.
As far as DeFazio and Larson's bill, never seen them, don't know anything about them.
Okay.
But my parents are 70 years old. My grandfather is still with us. He fought in World War II. He's 94 years old. He was in the European theater, went over on Omaha Beach, Battle of the Bulge. He was with the 300th Combat Engineers Company C. That generation is where a lot of this began. And our country made a promise. If we did this, which meant if we pay into it, that this would be there for us.
Right.
And it is my responsibility, and I think the country's responsibility to keep our promise.
Okay.
All right?
That's all I wanted to know, and I'm very thankful.
All right, thank you. Let me grab that. I got it. Is there a tape on that?
Yes, sir.
I probably shouldn't move that in.
I was struggling with it.
Yes, higher ed funding.
That was our point.
What kind of questions we have? Let me go right back here, and then Ed, I'll get to you next. Ma'am, go ahead. Is it Holly?
Yes.
I got it. Yeah, I get more. I take them.
My name is Holly Behrman. I live here in Sallisaw. I have 2 young sons who have cystic fibrosis. So I've been reading a lot of things, and I'm concerned that if the Affordable Care Act is overturned at a federal level, that patients with Oklahoma Medicaid could face annual caps on their coverage. This week, the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority had released a press release that of many cost-cutting measures that are very worrisome. My question is, what's being done at a federal level to protect Oklahomans who need Medicaid services?
Thank you. So we are, through the Affordable Care Act, we saw an explosion into Medicaid. And through Medicaid was designed to be a state-ran program. But because of Obamacare, ACA is the actual name, Affordable Health Care Act, but everybody knows it's Obamacare, we saw an explosion through Medicaid and the control of it going to Washington, D.C. And when that happened, we started seeing an explosion into a fifth category that should have never been there. Medicaid was designed for four purposes: the elderly, the disabled, the single mother that's pregnant, and the child that needed assistance. But through the Medicaid expansion, we started seeing a fifth category pop up, and that fifth category was able-bodied individuals that were getting pushed into Medicaid. And what we're trying to do is get that fifth category back out of Medicaid, because they're the ones that have seen the fastest growth on. And with that fast growth, we're saying, okay, that fifth person that was never supposed to be there, it wasn't ever designed for that person, we'll put a work requirement. At the same time, non-expansion states like Oklahoma, where their numbers are within the right categories, we actually see a plus up in Medicaid. So Oklahoma is actually going to see more money coming into it for their Medicaid program than, say, states that took the expansion, and this is phased in over 3 years. How Oklahoma decides to manage that is out of my control, because it's supposed to be a state-ran program. We give the states flexibility to do it, but as far as federal money going into it, Oklahoma will actually have more money going into it. But we allow our state legislators and our state senators and our governors to have the ability to design the program that's best for Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's needs are drastically different than, let's say, maybe Massachusetts needs, or say California needs. And that's why Medicaid had always been an extremely efficient ran program until ACA got involved and started putting the mandates on the states, and then they became unsustainable. We give this, even how they want to receive reimbursements. That through reimbursements, they can choose a block grant or a per capita grant, or per capita reimbursement. We give them a tremendous amount of flexibility, and the whole thing is to pay attention to those four categories. Right now, 6 out of 10 children inside Oklahoma are born on some form of Medicaid. 6 out of 10 children. We have an explosion of people that doesn't quite fit in between Medicare and Medicaid gap, that we have got to be able to put people into that. We have children with pre-existing conditions that would qualify for Sooner Care. And underneath ACA, we've been hearing for a few years that Sooner Care actually didn't qualify underneath ACA. We've been fighting the government to say, let us keep a program that has been extremely successful inside Oklahoma. And this allows it to be plussed up and continue to provide the service to the children it was intended for. So, Holly, I hope that answers your question, that we are actually stabilizing it for the state and for the state of Oklahoma. All right? Ed, I think I saw your hand next.
Yes. Ed Henshaw from Vian, Congressman. I also thank you for being here today. I'm here because of what I consider a tax on the middle class, where the middle class is subsidizing both the rich and the poor in this country. You made a statement that we have earned Social Security, we've paid into it. We're not doing that now. We've got generations now, 5 generations in Oklahoma now that have been on welfare, Social Security disability. They've learned the tricks, how to get on Social Security. They don't want to work. The poor get free housing, free phones, free food, everything's free for them. The super rich, we subsidize them out the wazoo. The middle class is funding this government. And what I'd like to know is, are you gonna do anything to help get the government off of the middle class and start putting the people who are too lazy to work back to work, get them off of welfare, off of this disability income that they don't deserve, most of them. I know there are people who need it, and I'm for that, but I'm not for the freeloaders. And I'd like to see a change in that. And I guess that's the question, will you help us do that?
Sure. It's a good point. Self-worth is vitally important. You know, I start my day every day with making sure that I'm getting something accomplished. And I do that by, you know, honestly, in the atmosphere I find myself in right now, you can get very frustrated because government moves so slow that you can begin your day and you think, what did I do? All I spent time was in spinning circles. So I start my day every day, same time every day. 5:30, well actually it's 4:30 here, 5:30 in DC. And the first thing I do is have a devotion, and then I go and I work out. And that gives me a little bit of self-worth. And if we're not teaching ourselves the value of earning it, then we lose the ability to understand self-worth. We take pride in things we earn. We take pride in things we create. We take pride in accomplishing tasks. And we have seen, unfortunately, a growth in people gaming the system. And that's what it was never designed for. There is programs outside of Social Security that are programs to help those that need help. But we should apply the rule too, that will help you as long as you're also trying to be helped. But the minute that we're supporting you, there has to be a decision made. I've hired thousands of people. Right now my company has, you know, a lot of employees. Just one of the companies have over 150 employees. And I tell my managers and I've told my leadership team, especially when I was operating the company, which I can't do that right now, you know, when I was training my leadership team and everybody else, I used to say, guys, don't make it a decision on getting rid of someone based on one flaw that they have. What you need to do is focus on that individual, and as long as they're trying harder than you, even if they're trying 51% and you're helping them 49%, they are still trying to help. They're still trying to get better. But the minute you begin helping them more than they're helping themselves, then you got to call a spade a spade. But unfortunately, what happens with our what they call entitlement programs is that they're all built on a plateau. And either you qualify for them or you don't. There's no curve to it. There's different levels of help. Some people just need help for a certain period of time because maybe something catastrophic took place. It's a series of events. Like people say, things come in threes. Everybody ever heard that? Things come in threes. Maybe they're at number 3, and they're at the lowest level, and they should qualify for the most help at that time. But then we should encourage them to get off by giving them incentives to get off of it. But as an employer, I have seen this personally myself over and over and over again. That I have a single mother or a single father, because unfortunately in Oklahoma now there's just as many single fathers as there are single mothers, that's qualifying, their kids qualifying for all types of assistance, and I bring them in to give them a raise. They say they can't take it because that raise is actually going to cost them, because they'll lose this qualification, housing subsidy or sooner care or whatever program they're on. And what's unfortunate about that, Ed, is that they get stuck at that level. Because if you can't take a raise from $12 to $13 an hour, then you're never going to make a raise from 13 to 15, And you're never going to be able to go from 15 to 20, and you're never going to go from 15 to or from 25 to 30, where maybe you wouldn't even need all those assistants in. So we need to look at the whole program. The whole system has turned into an entitlement mentality, and it's not an entitlement mentality. It is a helping hand. And that is why I think those programs should be ran more at the local level and not at the federal level. We know our community and we know our backyards better than anybody. Period. And I don't think there's one person that's walking around that's extremely cold-hearted. There might be a few. The majority of us aren't. We're going to help people. But we will get frustrated also of those people that's abusing it. And we know people that legitimately need help. I guarantee everybody here knows someone that legitimately needs help. And I guarantee everybody in here also knows those people that are 100% gaming the system. And we shouldn't allow those individuals running for the people that actually need help. Tax reform, Ed, we're working on that. And we're trying, right now, there's roughly 49% of the population is paying taxes, and there's 51%. Those are rough numbers. There's 51% that's not. We're trying to simplify a tax code that hasn't been touched in over 30 years, and the tax code has grown to 70,000 pages. Hopefully this year we can actually see tax reform to where you'll be able to do your taxes on an index card, and everybody is treated the same. We get rid of all those in places where people can game the system, and it just makes it a fair or a flat, whatever you want to call it, system, where literally we take it from 7 categories down to 3 categories, and you can fill your taxes off on an index card and mail it in. We're trying to fix some of these issues, but man, it's not going to be easy. It gets very tough when you get into these situations, but we see the problem. And I think the majority of us see the problem. And like I said, once again, we all are in the same boat. I think we can all say we want to make America great again. But maybe the way we go at it is a little bit different.
This Memorial Decoration season, shop A to Z Variety Store. Their staff is devoted to creating beautiful memorial arrangements. Honor your loved ones and those that bravely served our country. A to Z Variety Store offers memorial cones, monument saddles, hanging baskets, and more. Choose from a great selection of flowering bushes to create your own design, or have one of their on-site designers create it for you. At 2600 Midland Boulevard, it's all at A to Z Variety Store.
At Diamond Express, we offer quality fuel at a premium price, ice-cold beverages, snacks, and lottery tickets. But the great deals don't stop there. We are the perfect spot for a hot, homemade breakfast, a full plate for only $2.99. On that busy lunch break, stop by and grab a meal from our deli. Choose from hamburgers, corn dogs, burritos, and our hand-breaded chicken tenders. Our Kickback Rewards program is the perfect way to save you money on each purchase. Diamond Express, 712 South Kerr Boulevard in Sallisaw.
Quality Carpet, 305 North Maple in Sallisaw, offers a variety of carpet, tile, and wood. For all your flooring needs, be sure to stop in and visit our showroom. Our experienced staff will provide you with quality service and knowledgeable help so you can find the flooring best suited for your needs.
Free estimates with professional installation, hometown service. See our wide selection of carpet, tile, wood, and vinyl.
Be sure and stop in and see us on North Maple or call us at 918-775-4423. Quality Carpet.
Count on a McDonald's breakfast to make mornings even brighter.
Your choice of chicken or sausage biscuit and small soft drink for $1.99.
Hauled in? Locked up? Need bailed? When you've been bad, call Thad. We have the best service in town and look forward to helping you or your loved ones out. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Give us a call anytime or come see us in person Monday through Friday from 8 to 6 at 201 South Oak. Conveniently located next to the county jail in Sallisaw. Thad Moody Bail Bonds. When you've been bad, call Thad. Thad Moody Bail Bonds.
Another question for you. Go ahead, Daryl. Am I missing somebody in the back? I'm just seeing hands up front. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hi, Daryl Phillips from Sallisaw.
What was the argument this morning?
Oh, it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, okay.
It's only going to happen after we leave here.
Give us a chance, we just got up.
I wanted to say a word to thank you for all the young people that are here, because that's where our future is. I also want to mention that I'm here not as a Democrat or Republican. I'm here as a member of Indivisible. And Indivisible is the ones that you got to look out for. And in particular, you young people, look for us. Join us in Indivisible because, like I say, we're neither Democrats nor Republicans.
Hey, Daryl, we're trying to get to the question.
To the question, we will. My question is this. We see all of you people in Washington dividing up into these two groups, Republicans and Democrats. And I'm asking you, Congressman, will you in the future vote your best judgment of what's good for us without regard to whether that happens to be a Democrat bill or a Republican bill?
Guys, I get asked this question all the time when I go talk to places. Are you a Republican or Democrat? And I say I'm an American. I'm an American first. I'm not a career politician. Anybody that's ever read my background understands where I came from. This is a service for me. I made a career. My identity is designed before I got to Washington, D.C. I'm a Christian, I'm a father, and I'm a husband. I've been blessed to be successful in business, and that's who I am. I never vote based on party. And you can tell by my friendships. Joe Kennedy is a good friend. Joe Kennedy votes wrong all the time, but he's a good friend. I'm kidding about that, but kind of. But no, here's the thing about this one, Daryl. We make decisions based on two things. We should, based on two things. Our life experiences and the way we were raised. And my life experiences and the way we were raised is totally different than my friend Joe Kennedy's. And I don't question his motives. I don't question his love for the country. And him and I actually do work on several things. And Joe is just one of many friends that I have that's on the opposite side of the aisle. Literally many of us. In fact, where I work out in the morning, there's a whole bipartisan group that comes in and works out with us. And there's been so much publicity over that because it's so rare. I mean, literally, the Today Show's done a couple of programs. We're on the front page of the New York Times. I mean, just a ton of stuff. But we build relationships with each other. But sometimes when we're voting, we're looking at things in our own backyard. And my backyard is different than Joe's backyard. My backyard this morning was covered with deer and turkey. And driving out of my driveway, which is a very long driveway because I live way out in the middle of nowhere, my only traffic jam when I leave is the horses that stand in front. For some reason, they decide to use the bathroom right on my driveway too, and they got all this other place to go. I don't get that, but that's my biggest road hazard I have to deal with coming out of my driveway. Joe's is different. Joe lives in the city. And his needs are different than my needs. And that's as long as we're basing it on what our founding fathers said, be a representative, not be a Republican, not be a Democrat, but be a representative. The representatives are supposed to be the closest to the people. That is my goal each and every day. Period. And I base that on my life experiences and the way I was raised. Which is going to be different than yours, but at the same time, it's going to be similar to the same. Now, about Indivisible. Organizations are good as long as they control their members. And here's the deal with not Indivisible, but a member of Indivisible. We have the right to protest, and we have the right to agree to disagree. But an individual from the group of Indivisible decided it was real cute to put out my address, my personal address, on the internet. With question mark, does anybody feel like being arrested? Hashtag civil unrest. Now, I'm gone 42 weeks out of the year. And I have a wife and 5 kids. My highlight when I used to get home from school when I was a kid was running and checking the mail. Anybody else grew up like that? Running and going and getting the mail? I can assure you my kids cannot go get my mail now. Because I get the most disgusted, the most perverted, the most shameful things inside my mailbox now you can't imagine. That is wrong. And that came from a member of Indivisible. I'm not saying that represents everybody. But we have an obligation to also understand who we're pairing up with. I haven't seen the Indivisible come out and say, we don't do this. I haven't seen them come out in public and say, don't do this to them. And I guess that's their right. I guess, you can put my address out there. But why? Am I not coming out and make myself available to the public? Is all my public information not out there? Do you not have access to my district offices and my DC office and my phone numbers and my emails and my address? Do I not do enough town hall meetings and town hall meetings for people to get hold of me? That you feel like you got to intimidate my family?
I didn't do that.
I know you didn't, Daryl.
Don't point to me.
No, sir, I'm not. Daryl, don't take this personal.
It's
Don't
called
take it.
indivisible because people have been trying to divide the country.
Don't take it personal there. I'm not. I made it very clear. It wasn't a group. It was a person from Indivisible. But I haven't seen anybody from Indivisible come out and say that was wrong.
That was wrong.
I agree. But
now you've heard it.
Yeah. So being heard and then being encouraging members not to send that stuff to my email, that would be great. Or not to my personal address, that'd be great. This morning, I live out in the middle of nowhere, people, literally. This morning there was a vehicle parked in front of my gate. At 4:30, don't just park out in the middle of nowhere someone's gate. So it's like leaning on someone's pickup. Don't do it. What's the first thing that went through my wife's mind? What's the first thing that went through her mind?
It was a Democrat.
No. She had to be worried. Yes, safety. And all of those about safety. And that's wrong. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. And I encourage everybody to get involved in organizations. But when that organization does something wrong, then that same response should be out there immediately and call it for what it is. Otherwise, it gives the organization a bad name.
But Markwayne, this happens on both sides.
There is never an excuse to give out someone's personal address.
I agree.
Period.
But
never.
Both sides have these characters.
That's fine. I'm not doing it, so don't punish me for it.
We're not doing it.
I know.
I'm not doing it either.
But I agree. I agree that. But understand what I'm saying, guys.
Indivisible is in allegiance to the flag.
I agree.
And see, that's what's happening. People are trying to divide us.
Hold on. I don't want to get into having a conversation.
Well, then don't be talking so long. Let us ask questions.
Hey, come up here. You got a question to ask me?
Okay, I'd like to know if you're interested in expanding Medicare. There's 1 in 4 children in Oklahoma that have a pre-existing condition. There's 50% of people that are 64 and under that have a pre-existing condition. I am on Medicare. It's wonderful. And I know in some of the plans, there's a House Resolution 676 that has 90 co-sponsors. Would you be interested in doing that?
I'm not interested in expanding Medicare because Medicare was designed for a certain population. I am looking at how to make Medicaid more accessible to those that need that assistance. Through Medicaid and through our Medicaid reforms that we're doing, we create a bigger gap. It's called an advanceable tax credit for individuals that don't quite qualify for Medicare, that they get an advanceable tax credit to help them pay for Medicaid or qualify for insurance help to get to that point to where they can get into Medicare. Medicare is designed for a certain population. It's said if you pay into it, it'll be there at a certain age. Medicaid was designed to help that the group to which you're talking about.
If
So we
everybody
are
qualified, it would save money.
So we are trying to help Medicaid get more accessibility to those that fit in those 4 categories.
It would save money.
What other questions we have? Yes, sir. Is it Asher? Appreciate you being here, Asher. How old are you?
I'm 13 years old.
Thank you for asking the question.
My question is, with President Trump's proposed new budget and this wall, what will Oklahoma's burden be in supporting these new acts? And what does it mean for the future of social programs and future voters such as myself?
Asher, thank you for standing up and asking the question. The wall is a separate issue than Oklahoma's infrastructure. Oklahoma's infrastructure is Oklahoma infrastructure. The wall has to do with security. And so many people get focused on just immigration. It's an immigration issue. It's an immigration issue. It's not an immigration issue. It is a security issue. If it was just immigration, if the only people that wanted to come across our southern border was people that were just wanting to better their life, then the conversation wouldn't actually be as hostile as it is right now with importance. The fact is, there's a tremendous amount of crime that's spilling over from Mexico into our streets inside the United States. And there is not just Hispanic individuals coming across, but at last count, there was over 100 different countries that had been caught coming across our southern border. Some with bad intentions. And so the security wall that we're trying to do is to protect the citizens of the United States. That's an obligation that we have inside the United States. As far as Oklahoma's infrastructure and for future voters like yourself, it will assure a safe country for when you grow up. Yes, sir. I'll let you follow up on that.
Well, what I meant was with money-wise, because Oklahoma would not doing too well in budget terms. So what will our burden be? How will it cut into other programs?
Yeah, our state budget is completely separate from our federal dollars. It's not going to take away federal dollars being sent to the state of Oklahoma. And the state budget issue is the state's budget. I don't mean to sound this negative, but it's the state problem more than it is a federal problem. So we're not going to cut any federal programs coming to the state of Oklahoma to pay for our security wall on our southern border. What other questions we have? Yes, sir. Is it Rob?
Yeah. I'm going back to the earlier issue of your personal invasion of privacy. With the recent rollback of the net neutrality laws, do you think there is an issue with people just being able to buy somebody's internet history and use that against them?
Are you talking about the FCC rollback we had on?
Yes.
Okay. Rob, I encourage everybody to go to my website. Every single week on mullin.house.gov, we put out a complete list of every bill we voted on, how we voted on it, and a link to the bill. Because if people are passionate about a certain situation, then you should be passionate enough to be able to read about it, because the facts sometimes get really diluted when they start getting pushed to you in the media. For instance, Rob, on this one, there's a lot of questions that said that we weakened net neutrality. We weakened our ability to be able to secure our information on the internet. The fact is on this one is there's two organizations, the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, and the FCC. FTC was already doing everything that FCC was. But because of the bureaucracy that's created in Washington, D.C., you see agencies constantly competing for ground. And last year, FCC put out a rule that said they were going to start regulating this and take it away from FTC. We had a hearing on it and said, no, you can't do this. You're overstepping your boundaries and you're going to create confusion inside of the internet community, because you're going to have two agencies regulating the exact same thing, and it's not needed. And so they went ahead and published the rule. We said if you publish it, then we're going to have legislation knocking it back. So the enforcement was never taken away from FCC because they never implemented it. We just stopped them from doing duplicacy inside the federal government and kept it inside of FTC. So the same protection has always been there and it continues to be there. We just kept from having duplicate agencies doing the same thing. That understand? You understand that, Rob? All right. A lot of you guys probably don't understand what we were talking about, because if you don't know what we're talking about, you probably wouldn't quite understand it. But we're just trying to keep agencies from overlapping to each other. All of us has dealt with that, where you have to call some type of agency and you say, hey, I need help with this, and they say, well, okay, but that's not my department. And you get sent to another place, you get sent to another place, and then you find out you're dealing with 3 different agencies over the exact same issue. We're trying to cut all that out. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. One of the biggest things that we do inside our office is try cutting red tape. Try navigating through the system, because it's getting harder and harder and harder for the average American to navigate through a complicated government system, and we're trying to cut that out. We're trying to streamline stuff, and the FCC was overstepping their boundaries way outside the parameters that they even had jurisdiction to be able to even operate within. What other questions you have? Go ahead, Pat.
Healthcare.
Yes.
There's the concern about who gets covered by Medicare, who gets covered by Medicaid, who gets covered by private care, etc. It seems to me that there is a very simple solution, and one that would save money. Single payer. Look at all the countries that have it, that would never go to something like our system. Would you support single payer? We would save tons of money doing it. You know, getting the middleman out always saves money.
I am absolutely not going to ever support a socialist perspective. Socialized medicine leads us down a socialist country. We are a free country, and we have the right to choose, 100%. Healthcare is our right, and it is our decision to make our decisions for our healthcare. If you go to a single-payer system, you'll be asking bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. for permission to receive your healthcare. That's simple. If socialized medicine was so great, then why do those countries and those individuals that can afford it come to the United States to receive their health care on some
not.
Why is it that our universities are training their doctors? Argue that one. They can't. They send their doctors to us to train.
That's separate from healthcare.
That is healthcare because we're teaching them. I am not ever going to support an agenda that takes us towards a socialist country. We are a free country, and I thank God for that. Our veterans fought for that opportunity.
And the veterans have socialized it.
They have VA, and they earned it. They earned that health care.
Socialized medicine.
Doesn't everyone deserve the same health care and the same health care choices?
We have a constitution and we have a Bill of Rights that makes it very clear what our rights are and what our constitutional rights are too. And socialized medicine leads to a socialist country. We are a free country, and I'll support that.
Canada is not a socialist country. Norway isn't.
They're not looking more.
Once again, you asked me my question, Pat.
Okay.
And I said no.
You're always against it.
I will never support a single-payer system. I will never put my health care in the hands of Washington, D.C. We can see how well they take care of things.
Well,
they
don't.
don't. Hey, Pat, I let you ask your question. I was very, very, very respectful when you asked your question. I answered it. We can agree to disagree on it.
How about socialized fire departments?
Quick question, Shannon Mann from Sallisaw. My question is going to relate back to future healthcare reform. The Affordable Care Act implemented a lot of changes in the healthcare insurance industry as well as the healthcare community, which in response to the payer system. Inside of those, the very popular provisions were, of course, the elimination of pre-existing conditions as an underwriting issue from an insurance standpoint. So eliminating any exclusions for pre-existing conditions. the elimination of any lifetime benefits or caps on benefits during a person's lifetime, which affected a lot of prenatal situations where the child was born extremely expensive care, or later in life transplants, as well as the provision to allow children to remain on parents' policies until age 26. These provisions affect not only just the individual market, but as well as the group market. And future healthcare reform, which there undoubtedly will be provisions, bills to affect the situation. Will you support any changes to those three key provisions?
So let's talk about the pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions stay in place. When we make the reforms, this is one area that Republicans and Democrats can't agree on. But what we do is we change the risk pool up. So because pre-existing conditions are in there, it undoubtedly runs up the cost of premiums. But through ACA, Obamacare, they changed the ratio per plan, which meant that you had to have X amount of healthy people versus a person with pre-existing or high healthcare costs in a plan. They've changed it from a higher level down to a 3-to-1 ratio. That meant that for every plan that's out there, your ratio has to be one high-risk individual, be it high risk because of age, because of health, or because of pre-existing conditions, versus two healthy. They call that a 3-to-1 ratio. To try to ease the pain on everybody, because in Oklahoma alone, since 2014 has seen a 133% increase in our premiums in the exchange. 133%. Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is the only one there today, has already said they're going to be roughly a 40% increase again this year, even if they can stay in, and more than likely they're going to pull out, which means there will be nobody in exchange for people to go get health care needs in. So what we do is we take that risk from a 3-to-1 and expand it to a 5-to-1 ratio. That means that high-risk individual with the premiums gets spread across twice as many people, and it allows the premiums to come down. And then we allow the states to create what we call a high-risk pool. And that high-risk pool allows the states to help offset those with high medical needs or those that will qualify for assistance because their premiums are so high, if they were to go up. But Blue Cross Blue Shield said to us, the CEO personally said, that if we implement just phase 1 of the American Health Care Act, that you would see premiums and Blue Cross Blue Shields drop by 10% just if we implement phase 1. So our idea is to make it more affordable by bringing down some of the mandates and allowing us to have more patient-centered health care by allowing you to tailor the health care that you need. Other than forcing you into certain categories and say you got to take A, B, or C, my health care needs are going to be drastically different than Ed's health care needs. I may not need the same coverage that Ed does. Ed may not need the same coverage that I need, but we're giving the individual's choice on making those decisions by at the same time protecting, as I said, Medicaid, our 4 most vulnerable categories. What other questions you have? One more?
We have one over here, a student.
Okay, I'm sorry, I haven't seen your hand. I am so sorry. Thank you for pointing that out to me. Maria?
I live in the Muldrow area, outside of Muldrow, and I have 3 younger godbrothers who actually live here in Sallisaw. Their father is from Puerto Rico. I've heard that the laws for legal immigrants may be changing, and I'm concerned whether or not that he would get sent back to Puerto Rico, because I don't want.
Sure, I hear that. Nothing will change with Puerto Rico. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I get it. No, I get it. I understand. Don't worry about it. No, I get it. No, nothing will change with Puerto Rico at all. They are part of our U.S. territories. Nothing changes there. But I appreciate the concern. There is a lot of concerns out there. There's a lot of people that maybe just doesn't quite understand what the immigration policy is about. And look, it's confusing. There's nothing wrong with that. I can assure you, when I was in high school And starting college, I paid very little attention to politics and what was there and what wasn't there. That's unfortunate though, because what we see is that we in politics seem to be turning away young people. And why are we turning away young people? And I'll say this in closing because we got to wrap up and I've got to go to another one. The biggest threat I feel like is facing this country is complacency. Why is complacency? Because it seems like we're getting fewer and fewer people involved in politics. It's an honor and it's a privilege to build a company's meeting. It's an honor and a privilege to build a vote. And I don't think we actually represent that well as adults to the younger generation coming up. We can agree to disagree. We had a respectful, very respectful meeting today. We may not agree on every issue, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We still show that we have one agenda. But when we continue to fight at the pace that we are, and just take everything so personal and refuse to walk out of the room and come back together and try to find common ground, we're not going to agree on everything. There's never going to be a perfect bill that comes out of Washington, D.C. It doesn't exist. Because there's a whole bunch of people up there that have different life experiences and they are raised different. But if we continue to bicker and fight at the pace that we are right now, we're going to continue to push out the younger generations. Because how many of you guys wake up every single morning and say, I cannot wait until I get in an argument today? Think about that. There's enough drama everywhere. And what does our young people see on TV? What do they see on social media? And we can say 1,000 things, but our actions speak louder than words. We've all heard that. The way we behave in our community, the way we behave towards our elected officials is going to what encourages or discourages our next generation. I mean, I can honestly say it is an honor to serve. But with the stuff that's been happening to my family, not to me, my family, the stuff that I've been receiving at home, the threats that we receive, I don't think I would encourage my kids to run for public office. Would you?
Yes. Yes, I would.
It's the only way it's going to change.
I agree. But it's going to change if our behavior changes. Our behavior has got to change. It is a distinct honor to be able to do it. But we all have to. We have work to do. You have work to do. I have work to do. I grow every day. And I take everybody's perspective into mine. And guess what? Because I'm willing and trying to learn, some things change. Sometimes they change on ideas. As we grow, things do change. As we get into different experiences, things do change. As long as we're open-minded towards it. All right? I see your hand, but I've got to wrap up because I've got to go to the other one. Guys, God bless you for being here. It's still an honor to serve. Just keep things in perspective. We all love this country, and we're all working in the same direction. So be safe going home. We'll see you later. Thank you.
And again, thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed viewing the town hall in its entirety. We'll see you Monday with more news.